I'm still on my campaign to get people getting to know each other, because if I went around the room and asked each one of you, chances are everybody here cannot name everyone else. In this instance, our program this afternoon will be presented by the Bixler family. That would be Kenneth Bixler, the dad. I'm seeing the wife, Sue Bixler, back here, and a beautiful face next to her named Stacy. Ken Bixler spent approximately 50 years in the United States Navy. Oh, it says 6. Well, anyway, he's a Vietnam veteran and retired as a civilian Air Force employee in 1995, at which time he was already employed at Denison University's Physics and Astronomy Department as a lab technician, from which he retired in 2011. He enjoys photography, gardening, fishing, anything computer related, having been a volunteer with this computer club since 2009. His beautiful wife, Sue, and Ken have been married for 42 years. Poor Sue.
Is this poor Sue?
No. She retired from the City of Newark Income Tax Office in 2009 after almost 31 years. She continues to work on a part-time basis, but mostly enjoys having family gatherings, researching family history and genealogy, volunteers with a Find a Grave as a photo contributor, and with Hospice of Central Ohio, and enjoys flower, gardening, reading, traveling. The beauty they brought with them this afternoon is daughter Stacy Bixler, graduated from Newark High and Miami of Ohio University, and is employed in corporate risk management. In her spare time, she enjoys volunteering, spending time with her dog Izzy. She's an avid runner, enjoys biking, photography, and traveling anywhere, anytime. And to date has traveled to 49 of the 50 states and to 21 countries. So that gives you a little picture of the family.
Got it! Got it! Open Jesus. The kid. All right, so lights off. This is just this is just a screen of a scratch in the sand. We usually do this on vacation if we're sandering. So this is year the 14 Turks and Cacios. And so I want, oh, I better not do that. I'll do something at the end of that. Okay, so here is a wall in the downtown area, and they conveniently got the island maps on there. And basically where you're at right at the moment is due south. That pointer almost points at where the hotel and stuff is that we stay. This area right here is Grace Bay. Then here's Turtle Cove and the Bite. And the blurry part is, oh, that's Dave.
Blurry part is the whole thing.
The blurry part. That's good. Okay, so
down. Down. There you go.
The length of the island is 35 miles. It's only 47 square miles, this whole island. So it averages about 1.25 miles wide. This part's probably 3 miles, maybe. So down here to the Bite, there's a park. We'll have some pictures from the park. Then over this way, out at this point, oh no, right in here somewhere is Smith's Reef. Then from here, from here out to the end is kind of no man's land. And that's where the Jamaicans and anybody, kind of boat people, Haitians and boat people, if they manage to get to the island, they live out here until they scratch together enough money to be able to go to town or do something. But they actually live out there in the sticks. I mean, camped out in the woods. So anyway, more about that later. But so the downtown area, it is fairly modern, but it's only about 2 blocks long and one block off each side. And the rest of it is just island life. Some of it is pretty nice, permanent residences, and some of it is ramshackle homes that basically keep the sun off of you in the summertime, and that's all they worry about.
What do these people do for, like, shopping? Any idea?
There are some markets like the Little Bear. There's a couple, not quite as nice as that. I mean, they're like warehouses that are no longer used as warehouses, and they set up food pantries. That kind of a building that you might find the old food pantries in and stuff. There is one really nice modern market that we went to.
There's 2.
Well,
Graceway.
Yeah, no, that's okay. There's one right next to the hotels and stuff that is really nice. I mean, it's really nice. And the prices are reasonable to tourists. I don't think the locals would go there because there's no bargains.
So there's no Walmarts or anything
There
like
is there's what Stacy and I like to call IGA.
that?
Sue refers to it as IGA. I don't know.
It's IGA.
It's a normal IGA.
When we went to the Bahamas, the people that lived on the island, they would fly to Fort Lauderdale about once a month to go to Walmart, and they'd take big trunks, pack it full, and then they'd fly back. And they do this about once a month.
Yeah.
So I wondered, what
It's 600 miles to Florida, so I don't know.
One of the waitresses told us that's what she does. That they'll go over for a week or 2 at a time and collect things and bring it back.
Is it volcanic? Is it volcanic?
Part of it's volcanic and part of it's limestone.
How shallow is that green area?
Let me zoom back in. The green area will be 20 feet or less.
Wow.
Right off the bay here from where we were, out here to the reef, it was described as 8 to 10 feet as an average, with some pockets that were deeper than that. And then on the other side of the reef, it's quite deep. So
were there hotels for tourists to stay in?
yeah, let me, a disclaimer. I totally had nothing to do with getting there. The girls figured it all out and picked out where we do stay and what we do, so they will answer those questions.
Yeah, there's a very, Grace Bay is kind of the centralized area for Providencialis. It's called Provo there because they don't like to pronounce Providencialis. But Grace Bay is the area for tourists, and it's very safe to walk. It's well lighted. You can, we were kind of like right in the middle of Grace Bay where we were. They have a 7 stars. They have beaches, all inclusive. All of those are down there, and that's where the tourists stay. We aren't the type to just stay in the touristy area. We like to really get in and see how the culture is, how the people live, experience their life. The people who live there are known as belongers, and they are the original descendants of the original people who were there. This island was first found by Christopher Columbus. So they celebrate a Columbus Day down there, and it's very popular. And it's very difficult for someone who is not a descendant of the belongers to move there and get a job. The jobs are held for the belongers and their family, and that's why Haitians or anyone that is dropped off thinking they've made it to Florida which often happens, are unable to work because you can't get what's similar to a green card here to work. So most of the people that are serving you while you're there are descendants of the belongers, which basically were slaves that came there from the Bahamas and other places and then were left when they found that it was very difficult to grow things there, raise things there. Everything has to be shipped in. You were talking about the groceries and that. The gourmet grocery store, which was right in Grace Bay, was reasonable comparing. The grocery store, I mean, it's, gas was $6 a gallon, milk is $5 a gallon, it's $5 per dozen of eggs, a jar of peanut butter is about $15, a can of green beans is $3.40, a 12-pack of pop is $12 or $13, so you're not going to, live there cheaply. And there's no fast food other than a couple of what they probably call shacks, and it's locals, chicken shacks, things like that. But, there's no McDonald's or Wendy's or anything like that. You're going to average somewhere between $50 and $100 per meal if you eat in a restaurant. So, for tourists, yeah, because you probably, we've attempted to go to a local we had heard about, but honestly we didn't feel safe.
Probably would have been safe, but just not
we just
knowing
didn't
the
want
area.
to take any chances. And
As far as eating there and getting sick or something,
What kind of safe?
The one neighborhood that we would have gone through, we started through, it just looked shady. And if I was by myself, I wouldn't have cared. But with the girls with me, they mentioned that it didn't look very nice, and so I turned around and left.
Yeah, let me preface this is we only saw one policeman the whole time we were there, and even the driving rules are not really adhered to, and it's pretty much if they want to stop in the middle of the road and have a conversation with their neighbor, too bad if you want through. And that's kind of what we ran into in this particular group. A group of them had stopped and we couldn't get through, and they're all looking at us as, gee, we're interesting. And so anyhow, and it was kind of in a secluded area, so we backed out and went someplace else.
The people, are you saying they're like American Indians? Are they look like that?
No, they're black.
They're extremely dark.
Okay, so they're not the original people.
No.
There probably were no original people. There's no.
Well, it looks to me.
The slave, the boats after Christopher Columbus came through, they had slaves on the boat and they crashed.
Okay.
There were shipwrecks, and they became the originals. Slaves from shipwrecks.
What about archaeology? It looks like this place was big before the Ice Age, or during the Ice Age.
It's been broken up, and cruise ship doesn't come here. They now go to Grand Turk, which is the capital of Turks and Caicos, and it's clear over that separate little island down by itself. And actually, the cruise line build a place for them to visit. They don't really, because the only way to get to the other Middle Caicos, North Caicos, South, East, and that is you either have to fly or you take a ferry. You take a ferry and you rent a car, and everything is cash. There's only the tourist places like the hotels, the major restaurants, the major stores will take a credit card. Otherwise, you pay cash for everything, taking tours and everything. So you want a resort with a room safe.
What was the currency? Did they use the
U.S. dollars. U.S. dollars. Our U.S. driver's license were all we needed. But they do preface it when you go there and you rent a car that please leave your car unlocked. Keep the windows rolled down. And whatever you do, don't leave anything of value in the car, because they do have a lot of thieves and such in there, and a lot of them are the people that have been dropped off, and they have to make their means any way you can. So you are warned about that. We didn't leave anything but maybe flip-flops and bottled water in the car.
This is the official brochure from the car company.
And it says it right there in big bold.
Leave your car unlocked and windows down.
I would say though, for most of the trip, I never felt uncomfortable at all. You know, I mean, we didn't leave necessarily anything. I wouldn't leave my iPad sitting there, but I never felt unsafe. You know, one situation I felt unsafe. Other than that, I would have left my car and not thought twice about it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And they warn you about going to, see this road right here? This is us leaving the airport on the day we arrived, and we're heading to our resort. This is their main highway. This is Leeward Highway. And that is considered a major road, paved road. Our car, we had Grace Bay Rentals, the driver seat's on the right side of the vehicle, and you drive on the left side of the road, so and they have all roundabouts. There's only a couple of red lights on the whole island, but most of them are
just a couple of stop signs.
Stop signs. Oh, you're right. There are no red lights. Stop signs. But so this is the first time driving, and Ken only hit about 3 curves trying to get out of the airport.
Just the first day.
Yeah.
I hit 3 curbs before Sue went totally hoarse.
And this road in this area looks pretty nice, but very little of that road actually is that nice. There are gigantic holes, even in, this is considered a very good improved road. And so Ken heard a lot of screaming, oh, because we hit many and bounced all over. And you see a lot of hubcaps and wheels and things all over. That was the cheapest that we saw gas. Mostly it was $6 to $6.20. But one day, as I'm driving by real quick, I tried to grab that photograph because it was the cheapest, $5.89 a gallon. This is where we stayed, the Sands at Grace Bay, and we did it all by doing a lot of research, forums and different things, trying to figure out where to stay, and we were absolutely delighted with our resort. It was really wonderful. We were within walking distance of the town, but yet we were far enough away that we felt we were had some seclusion. That was the door to our room. And we had a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom condo. And of course, the minute we got there, that's after the drive, that's what Ken did. He sat down, relaxed. So it was kitchen, dining room, everything was provided.
Including the food?
Oh, no. Oh, no. And this was just one of the little, these were all over this. The gardens in this were absolutely gorgeous. Some of the most beautiful flowers. And we've been to Hawaii a couple of times, and similar flowers is what you would find in a place like that. They had these little water paths, and you could get out and walk in them. And sit and lounge in them or raft down them or whatever you wanted to do. But they had this, and one of our favorite things to do was they had a coconut grove filled with hammocks.
And I am not falling out, just for the record. It looks like I'm falling out. I'm not, I promise. I was getting
Too much of that coconut milk.
That's right.
You see that bird on the clothesline?
There were
You see that bird? With legs sticking there? That's her here.
Yeah, I don't know about that. There were a lot of lizards. Lizards are everywhere.
Okay.
And you'd think we'd never seen a lizard. We took so many pictures. As you'll see right there, that was right outside of our unit, and that lizard, told Stacy, I said, let me get your picture. And then, of course, I saw the lizard, so it made it even more interesting that the lizard was right beside of her as she leaned down. But that's kind of the pathway to our units there, and you can just see, get a little idea of the gardens. And that was our walk to, that is the Atlantic Ocean right out there, and a beautiful pool. And the reef runs, we're right at the Bight, and that's B-I-G-H-T reef that you can just walk out and snorkel from. Hemingway's on the beach is the restaurant, and it was really nice to walk the beach and collect shells, and as you're in your swimsuit or whatever, just come up and of course that's conch. If any of you know the great big huge conch shells. As we arrived, that was our first lunch, and Ken, besides having the Turks Head Amber Ale, enjoyed conch 3 ways. He's got
Raw.
ceviche, fritters,
Fingers.
no, fingers, similar to like chicken fingers here, and fritter. And we all liked it. We all ate it quite a bit while we were there. And that was the largest of the swimming pools with the ocean right behind it. But
Fresh or salt?
the pool is fresh. There were some salt there though. And that was just the pathway at the sands where we were. That was the public access. None of the beaches on Turks and Caicos are private. Some are more difficult to get to because of condominiums, or not condominiums, but homes that have been built up, and you'll see how we have to get to some of them. This is the sands where we stayed. They have these out for us every day. Just walk up, the guys are there all day long. They'll take you out on a Adobe Cat, they'll take you out on you can just pick up kayaks or paddle boards.
How many other people were there?
Well, we were there in December. It was never really crowded.
Did you never see hardly anybody in the
Yeah, it wasn't real crowded. We had a wedding on the Saturday night. We were here right on our beach. They did a wedding. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, a lot of the photographs were taken either very early in the day. We'd get up and just walk the beach. So some of these, it's why
Yeah, we rarely stayed at the resort, and that's exactly what it looked like. It is turquoise, and if any of you have ever driven to Key West and gone across 7 Mile Bridge, and as you're first going across down there, you'll see the water is kind of that turquoise color. And I always thought that was beautiful, but this even blew my mind getting there. Now, the week before we got there, I guess they had rain. They get very little rain. Well, they get rain, but it's on very few days of the year, and October, November is kind of their rainy time. But I guess the week before they had pretty good storms and rain every day. And this was the only rain we saw the whole time we were there. But it never came in and got us, but we did see it that morning. And JoJo the dolphin is supposedly a dolphin that's supposedly 25 or 30 years old. I did luckily get to see JoJo. Now, whether it's the same JoJo or his descendant, I don't know. But I did get to see JoJo, and they have that right on the beach, and you're supposed to, so everybody else can get up and see it. But this dolphin actually will swim with you. It's been known to come up and play with swimmers in the water there, or right alongside of you if you're in a kayak or paddle boarding, that sort of thing. So.
It's just a sunset.
Just a sunset. That boat belonged to our Sands Resort, and it was out there so they could take you out on little tours and stuff.
Did they have boats you can rent, like Sunfish or Adobe Cats?
Yep, they had Adobe Cat. But all you did was give a tip to the guy who took you out. You didn't have to pay for it.
Oh, no. Would they let you sail it yourself?
No.
Yes, they did.
Oh, they did?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well.
Two guys were.
Oh, well.
That's great.
I didn't know that then.
Okay, so this is my story. This one is at the Sopadilla Beach, and we'll have more pictures of it. But that's Stacy and I right there, and there was some glare on the water, and she and I were discussing polarizing lenses and how you turn them to adjust them so that they cut the glare. And she said, "Well, mine doesn't turn." And not 5 minutes before, she had been telling me about this strange thing she saw on the ocean bottom over there in the bay. She says perfectly round and black, and it was just really weird. And then we're talking about this polarizer. So I looked at her camera, and sure enough, the lens wouldn't rotate. And then I looked some more. Her polarizing lens was no longer with the camera. So she had to walk several hundred feet back and try to find where she left her lens. And there it is. That's in, what, a couple of feet of water?
Oh, knee height, sure.
Yeah. So that was kind of our fun story for that day.
Lucky shot the gun.
And this is a typical entrance to Sapodilla Bay or to any of the others. You can see there's a condo or a house wall right there. I mean, parking was on the street, wherever you could find it, or in a pull-off by a swampy area. So another reason why you didn't lock your car, keep any valuables in it. And
I'll go back.
Oh, but that's walking into Sapodilla Bay is known as one of the most, probably the favorite, most tranquil places that you'll find on the island. You just walk out there and lay down. People put their chairs in, just lay down.
You can see how smooth the water is. The other side of the island, they were having 1 and 2 foot waves that same time.
You can almost walk out to where those 2 boats are. We saw a guy just kept walking, and he was never more than up to his waist in water.
What is causing the beams and lights that you're there?
The sun, we were there close to sunset. And just the clouds had moved in. You can see that rain out in the distance. We thought a storm was coming, but it never did. It stayed out. But it made for interesting pictures.
So one of the things I saw while I was waiting at the beach was this little strip right here. The next couple of pictures, that's the area you want to look at. It's a tube worm, and it's in a couple of feet of water. And I'm using my underwater camera to get this picture. And I'd always read about these, and I'd seen them on National Geographic, but here it is beginning to emerge from its tube, and then it's fully out there. And so it comes out and waves those around and traps food particles, then draws them back into the tube and digests them. So it's in and out kind of frequently.
That picture right there, where the water's real calm?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's the west side of the island?
South.
Okay. Water's real calm, so a bunch of reefs in that area that's keeping the water calm?
Well, the basic wave action was from the North Atlantic action moving that way. Inside is considered Caribbean, and so it's much calmer and shallower on that side. This is kind of where the shelf comes up.
Pretty more secluded with the land there, so it keeps it calmer. Now that is considered an improved road. Yeah, and let me tell you, you drove like this because you were going off and on, but yeah, that was considered an improved road. And that led to the Sapodilla Hill Historic Site, which is...
Who said something over?
I was curious, the road is one way.
By necessity, it's only
whichever
wide
way you
enough.
want to go.
Okay.
But everybody is supposed to go to the left. But you always know when somebody's a tourist because they start out like this and then they go like that.
One real quick question, so we talk about driving. Are the roundabouts clockwise?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposite of ours.
Okay.
And Kennerly tried to enter the wrong way road once
On the first day.
on the
I
first
lost my
day.
eardrums.
And instead of just continuing around, he stopped and turned back up.
It worked.
He was lucky.
Did work.
And it did work, and we got back on the right way, but after a few screams.
I saw the locals laughing a lot when I was driving.
And you see them shaking their head, like, oh no.
So this is the other end of the Sapodilla Beach. Down here's where the tube worm was in these rocks, and then up here is where we found the camera lens.
How deep is the water there?
Oh, we walked out.
Yeah, we walked out to this point right here, and it was less than chest high. So out to the sailboats, I would guess it was less than 8 feet. Just another picture halfway down the beach.
There were some houses along there, and that was nice. And there's rocks you could climb around in and get
Tube
down
worm
in
and stuff was in
and
here.
fish and
And you could stand in the water, I'm sorry.
How much is coral and how much is volcanic of the actual size of these islands?
It's pretty fair mix. I don't know that I read anything to tell the difference.
But it is volcanic.
It's rubble, limestone and volcanic rubble together. It's
Because it looks like that would have, during the Ice Age, this thing would have been gigantic. And I've heard that Cuba was probably twice as big back then,
And they
but
may have
this
had
thing would have been
parts
huge
of each
too.
yeah.
yeah.
So Ken, you're saying your steering wheel was on the right side?
That was on the wrong side.
On the right side of the vehicle.
Right, on the right side, he was sitting on the passenger side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and I will tell you another thing that Grace Bay Rental does is when they gave us the contract and the card, they pointed out a particular law that we should pay attention to. And when I read it, it said that we've now rented a car and enjoy and so on and so forth, but also to be aware that it was law that every time the driver used the windshield wipers instead of the turn signal or vice versa, or a passenger or the driver went to the wrong side of the vehicle to get in, you must deposit a quarter in the glove box. And that would allow the Grace Bay Rental Car Company to host their annual Christmas party. So when we returned home, because Kim went through easily $20, when we returned home, it was quite the opposite. And we said, okay, so instead of a quarter, it's $1 every time you go to the wrong side of the car to drive, or try to drive down the left side of the road, or hit the, thinking you want the windshield wipers, you've now hit the turn signal. So it took him a few weeks.
Yeah. So here at, this is Sopadilla Beach, that big rock this big rock right here in the bottom corner. I was poking around there and I looked down in the hole and I got all excited. I saw the sea urchin down in here, and it was about maybe a 3-inch across side-to-side sea urchin that had gotten back in this hole. And I didn't even see the snail shell until a day or two later when I was reviewing the pictures, because I was so excited to see this red sea urchin in there.
Good gatherness.
And that's just something we do to prove that all three were together at that point.
Top foot was yours, Ken?
The big ugly one.
So this is a paved road, and as you can see, we're kind of getting to what is considered an improved road.
That's the improved part.
And it turns left and it's improved, and then you turn right and it is paved. So we went down a little bit, and then this was kind of the area where we had been warned. So we turned and went to the conch shack for dinner. And that's where you eat. And you eat right on the water. Those conch shells are everywhere. And actually, I think we set that picnic table. And then you have divers who are actually out there getting conchs and bringing them up. And some, they're obviously selling them. And they're each, kind of entrepreneurs.
So they were having a cold week.
They thought it was cold.
I thought it was cool.
She's actually got a sock hat on.
It was low 80s while we were there, but they thought it was cold. And so a lot of them were all dressed in jackets and long pants and long sleeves, and I was in tank tops and whatever less I could get on.
What's the normal weather, about 90?
In the summer, it's really, really hot in the 90s. But we never got to 74 one evening. That was the lowest we had while we were there. But that's what they do with the conch shells. And of course, we can have conch for dinner, ceviche again, and fritters.
So without
Stacy and I
tourism,
enjoyed fish.
without tourism, that place would fold up.
It would be very difficult. And I'll tell you what, they were the kindest, most polite people everywhere we went. I mean, and they always thanked you for visiting their island. You had many choices to go to, and they were so appreciative. And you weren't hassled. You weren't, buy for me, I make you deal, or anything like that. And this was still a conch, and they had the rum bar up there, and there was people hanging out. And this guy was, you can see him laughing.
He's my favorite guy on the island, by the way.
Yeah, he
Favorite
and
person I met
Stacy
the whole time.
had a
He
little.
was just that happy the whole time we were
Whole
there.
time,
Just happy.
yeah.
It's amazing.
They were around the
Right
rum
there's a
bar.
little hook.
Well, if I worked at the rum bar, I'd probably be that
They
happy.
have too,
Right on the
yeah.
ocean.
If you see on that post right there where Ken's pointing, there's a hook, like a little metal hook.
The
Okay. And see the string? You know how you stand back and go like this, let it go, and you try to get the hook? Well, that's what a group of them, well, he came out and grabbed Stacy.
Because I was taking photographs.
Yeah,
I was
he's-
watching other people do it in my own world, and then he caught me, and then it was my turn.
So he gave her a lesson.
So you swing this steel ring towards the steel hook that's on the post, and you try to get it to come back and hook on hook the ring on the
So did you hook it?
He did.
You did.
Yep.
Yeah, she did. And whoever took the picture caught the guy.
Hugging the tree. Yeah, it didn't take her very long, but it's a good thing because afterwards she told me we would have been there overnight. Because she's extremely competitive. And she
I would
said,
have
I
figured
would
it
have
out.
stayed there all night until I hooked that stupid thing. So luckily she did. So that's the real conch as they come in out of the water. You can see what they look like there.
This hook right here is a really hard, bony thing, and it extends out. It's like a snail, and it extends this out, buries it in the sand, and then drags itself forward. And so it's like a big old talon or toenail or whatever you want to call it. And that's how they move around. They don't just lay in one spot.
How much do they sell for?
You mean alive? Or,
They sell them, the shells to the
yeah,
tourists?
probably average was $30 for the queen. You could get the others a little cheaper or things that they had done with them. They made different things out of them, but I paid $30 for mine, and I got mine at the Conch Farm, which will show you that.
Was the island duty free?
Yes.
So you mentioned everything was expensive. I assume liquor was cheap then, if it was duty free?
I don't know, we don't drink, so
Oh, okay.
I never looked at it, but people, they were taking it back. I think you were allowed to take $800 duty-free back.
On one of those tables, I saw a brown bear flower.
Well, Ken,
At a
yeah,
restaurant.
That doesn't
they
count.
enjoy a beer. I don't drink beer, so.
That's the way it was in the Bahamas. Everything was real expensive, but you could go to the liquor store and it was just extremely cheap.
Yeah, I didn't know, I didn't look.
I included this one because the conch shells are so common, they actually just use them to build walls and stuff out of. And this girl was somebody walking on the beach, she was walking out there and picking up conchs right out of the water. So that conch and fish are what you eat if you're a native.
You usually
That's-
have to dive
that's
for the
it.
conch.
There's no other food source.
Where do they get their electric? Do they produce it or?
Yeah, they have
I'm sure they must, but I don't know whether it comes from one of the other islands underwater or whether they have generation on the island. I don't know.
They do ask you to preserve water. Water is very difficult there, and not to drink it. We use bottled water for everything and drink it, but
Do they
it.
catch rainwater?
Yes. And
They use
then-
cisterns.
Yes. Mhm, that's what they do.
They average an inch or so, less than 2 inches of water per month, rain.
That's a conch shack. He's cutting those up and pulling them apart, and Yeah, right in front of you. Then take it in, cook it.
Now, ceviche is not cooked.
No, it's easy.
It's in a citrus juice, and it sterilizes whatever might be. So here's Stacy.
Those are lights. And there are coconut trees all around us, and we often saw them climb up and get them down just like you see, and they just hand them to you, put a knife in, put a straw in, and hand it to you. So you can drink fresh coconut milk or chop it up and give you fresh coconut meat. And this was at the place next to us, Bay Bistro.
You said they climb up those trees?
Yeah, the people that live there, or the workers, they just climb just like you do.
Well, they've got long poles.
But they've got those too.
At the resort, that's what they use, just a long pole with a saw on the end of it. So Stacy was behaving herself here, and I think what she did was ask if she could take our picture, and of course, Sue said something like a picture of him. And so I thought, well, okay, I can deal with that. So,
They don't cooperate well for photos.
and so finally we got one. And Stacy just threw her hands up and said, what was that? I give up.
And this was part of Chalk Sound. Of course, they're known for their salt out there. They get salt out of this Chalk Sound, and it was absolutely the most beautiful turquoise water that you can even imagine. This doesn't even really do it justice, but this was kind of the areas where we just pulled off and walked and found this area.
The islands were known at one time as the Salt Islands. It was a big source of salt for the Americas.
That's Chalk Sound. That was right outside of Las Brisas, where we stopped for lunch, and Sapodilla Bay is right across the other way, but very calm. And kind of you can see salt in the background there. Ken's down. Well, Ken always has to climb, try to get himself into trouble, but he's down there on the bottom. And I'm kind of overwatching him because it wasn't, he's coming back up.
They're cactus?
Oh, yeah.
Cactus
and
all
so
over
did I.
the place.
Cactus is common.
And that's just one of the $1 million homes. They have a lot of, this area is well known for $1 million+ homes that are built right on Chalk Sound or on Sapodilla Bay.
Movie stars or people like that?
Bruce Willis
has a home
on Middle Caicos.
On Middle Caicos.
A different island than what we were on.
We were on Providenciales, and Middle Caicos would be next to us. He has a home there. That's the only one we heard about.
I talked to the guy in the airport who had just bought a $380,000 home here, and he was going to come down there summertime or in his vacations. American.
If I get quiet, are you gonna tell that story you said?
We're coming. Calm down.
Yeah, let's move along. Move along. If you guys are bored,
I'm not bored, man.
Nope.
So this is an inter-island ferry, and they're carrying food around to the other islands, and you'll notice that perishable shipment, rush, perishable, keep at 32 degrees. And there's no rushing on this island.
Right down there.
Yeah, right.
We were there half an hour, and it was sitting there.
Yeah, they were going out to South Caicos. Yeah, and it's been sitting there. And
You can see one guy carrying and 2 guys watching. So.
I'd be afraid of that.
yeah. That's the ferry that we would take to go to, like, Middle Caicos. And then you rent a car once you get there, and it's like cash, and it's like $80 for the day. And there's like a ferry at 6 and at 9 in the morning, and then 2 in the late afternoon. There's a little bit of housing over on Middle Caicos, but not a lot.
This is a conch farm, and they actually raise conch out here in these circular, almost snow fence-like structures. And we talked to the guy at the conch farm. It started out as a university project to see if it was a viable, profit-making business that these people would use. This guy makes a profit, but he can only supply about 1% of the conch that they eat. They just, conch and seafood are the only food that you have. You don't, there's no rabbits or squirrels or nothing.
Fruits and vegetables or?
Very
Very
little
hard to
because
grow.
it's so arid.
Yeah. This is the Bite Park at Bite Reef, and we're out there, and Thursday night, every Thursday night they have what's known as fish fry, and it is absolutely packed. We are parked on sidewalks on the main road as far as you can go. We were parked quite a ways away, and they have different businesses that come from even the other islands. As part of Turks and Caicos, they come and they set up, and you can get shrimp and fish and lobster, you know, and all the thing, and it's real crowded, but there's live music, live band, and you just really get immersed into the culture. And I had been told that whatever we do, don't leave after we eat, to make sure we stay for the parade at 8 or 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. And all we knew was that it was a cultural band known as Junkanoo Band. And we were asked to part and make a middle way. There is a stage up there and had all kinds of music that bring people up. Everybody's expected to dance and be a part of it, and you just feel inclined to do it. We did videotape some of this, but I didn't bring it with me. But these guys coming down here in the bright orange and yellow, guys and women, are part of the Junkanoo Band. And they were bouncing and jumping and singing and playing. Their instruments are all handmade instruments from things on the island, like barrels or drums or conchs or that. And you just get caught up in it. And you feel it reverberate through your bones. And as loud as it was absolutely phenomenal. That's Stacy's dinner.
He came with his face on it, which I was unprepared for.
That was snapper.
Snapper, yeah.
It was very good.
Yeah, we pretty much ate fish or conch about. I had shrimp and barbecue pork one time, but otherwise. There you can kind of see the seaweed coming up. That's on Grace Bay there. And they said that it's unusual, and it's because this particular storm system they had the week before we got there, this was just now making its way onto shore. So every morning, the resorts send their people out there, and they actually swept and cleaned all of that off. So unless you, I have sunrise people here who like to get up and see sunrises every morning. So 5:30 or 6, you'd be out there, and you could actually see the seaweed and stuff before they come through. So that's when you could also collect your best shells. So I just gave you kind of an idea.
The tide change over a day's period is 1 foot. We don't have a big high tide there at all. My ear fell off.
Sponge. There's a lot of interesting things.
Sponge we found washed up on the beach.
I washed up on the beach too?
Yeah, that's another sponge. I thought it looked like a thumb, so I laid it over my phone. Just chilling.
We tried to do that as much as we could. Kid looks like he's holding a gun holster or something back there on that picture. I think it was my shoes, because I used to spend my summers as a kid in Connecticut, where my mother's from. So if I'm anywhere near the water, I'm in it. That was our first night there. So we just stripped out of our clothes. But Stacy's reaction to the cold water.
Yeah, it was cold.
Now, to me, I thought the water was warm, but I'm used to East Coast water where the water is cooler, and I prefer cooler water. So to me, it was almost like taking a bath.
Not for me.
But Stacy was was still freezing the next day.
What was the water temperature?
The water temperature was
72?
is 70, yeah, 68 to 72 as an average. This is their winter.
That's not,
Green Bean Cafe was one of our favorite little spots to go in, a lot of organics. Very nice. We sit outside and eat. It was at Turtle Cove, the marina, so you could sit right down on the marina. Lizards everywhere. You'll see there's a lizard on the nose of the of the Buddha.
It's a little blurry from here, but you can see something on the ridge of his nose.
And Stacy was out taking its picture.
hey, Ken, do they have a lot of mosquitoes or bugs? Or
None.
Well, they do in the September, October. They tend to have some. They tell you to bring bug spray. And the rabies. That's just alongside the road. That happened to be a tree. I'm a tree person. I think trees talk to me. I like interesting trees and vegetation and all that. So
Those trees are
I made
growing all the
Stacy
time.
get up in it so that the tree would tell her story. Here's pretty. Shark Bite Cafe in the Turtle Cove. They did have Christmas, a lot of Christmas decorations, but it felt really weird. All of a sudden we'd see something and go, oh yeah, it is Christmas next week. And then we'd have to remind ourselves. Smith's Reef, we snorkeled there. Stacy and I did.
This is one of the best reefs in the world to dive at, they say. So the girls did go out. Eventually, I didn't.
Lot of
Kite surfing.
kite surfing, thank you. That went everywhere, a lot of parasailing. It was nothing to
Back
see.
at one. What's that thing up in the air up there?
Well, see, that's a big.
That's a
like,
parasail.
you know the guys nowadays, they jump with parachutes so they can see it. They got that funny shape.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's what that is, and he's attached to it.
On a
Oh,
surfboard.
okay. I've seen them.
And it's pulling
I've seen
it
one
on
now.
the
Oh,
water.
my God.
Yeah.
That kite is pulling and truck pulling.
That's the reef. The dark part is the reef. So you can see how close we just walked out to it. Here's me.
I took a beating for putting that in there.
Either rent the equipment or take a look at it.
You could do either. We chose to bring ours.
We have our own. I have bad eyes, so I have prescription snorkeling
Also, you
lenses.
took care of
Yeah,
that prescription.
yeah. I
Oh, you
snorkel
love
wherever I
one-night
can
days.
go. Pardon? No.
Ken, if you snorkel, it'd be like dead weight, wouldn't it?
It'd be like a walrus. What?
It'd be like dead weight if you snorkel, you just go straight to the bottom.
He doesn't float. He's the only person I've ever met in my life that can't just naturally float. And it's weird to me, but yeah, there's, Stacy and I both had all underwater cameras. Well, all three of us do, but we went
Oh,
snorkeling.
that's pretty. That's good. We'll hang around this reef and it's full. That looks like grass.
See the one on the top there? Look at his rainbow colors across the top there. Almost see-through with those rainbow colors.
How deep is it there? Or they're showing?
Oh, you can just step down. Yeah, you can just stand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Down to
bloodied,
15 feet.
I bloodied both of my legs on the reef, on the floor. You're not supposed to walk on, but it was fairly, that particular day, it was, we had quite a bit of waves, so a couple times my feet just were dragged down, and so, I would open up my knee, whatever, hitting something. But it's worth it, a little bit of the blood.
This one's harder to see.
I see it. Is that a tree?
Coral.
Coral. That one coming up on the top of it?
Yeah.
Coral. Soft coral. Well, I see it now.
And what, green coral, or I forget what all they call them, but
They were all over the place.
So that's pretty blue.
some pretty fish. And whenever we travel, we always try to get things for birds. Ken's a bird watcher, and, well, all of us are, but him more than me, and fish, wildlife. We like to know what's natural to their place, so we usually get something that tells us, and then as we see them or find them, we try to check them off and try to make sure we see as much as we can.
David, are you in here?
Ralph?
Yes.
Back here.
Isn't that brain coral, David? Or no?
Well, it's a type of great coral, yeah.
Okay.
Bluefish.
Oh, yeah. look at that.
Blue tang. T-A-N-G. Blue. Yes. Well, oh, yeah.
Oh,
This one freaked Stacy out. She did not like the
He was chasing me around and kept looking at me. Like, wait a minute.
she says, he had eyes this big. There he is again, yeah. Pink face.
One of them sci-fi fish.
There's another one down here at the bottom side. There's another fish right there.
And shark bites aren't real common out there, although, you know, it is the ocean, so obviously there are sharks and other things, but they've had very few attacks around these particular islands.
We ran into a couple when we were here that had on an Ohio State t-shirt, the lady did, and they actually lived in Dublin. And Dad happened to be the same day that Dad wore his Ohio State t-shirt. So we of course spoke to them and, you know, kind of introduced ourselves, and then they went on up a little further than we did, snorkeled up there. While Mom and I were finishing snorkeling, they came by and Dad thought, wow, they're leaving kind of quickly. I wonder why they would leave so soon. And the guy talked to you, explained why.
Yeah, he'd been up there and they saw a 6-foot green shark.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So,
Which is what I was looking for. The one thing I wanted to see was a shark, but I didn't.
Any water snakes or anything like that?
didn't see any.
And we heard about the hole to go to. Again, this is kind of an improved road. That's where you pull off, and that's your advertisement, that's your sign for the hole, and that is the hole. And it is, and it goes way down under, and it carves out. But so Stacy, she doesn't do hikes well, but did convince her to go out and sit on the edge, so that I could do that.
Is there any fresh water there at all that they filtered or anything in these, down in the coral on the land?
There was water in the bottom of that.
Well, this water's connected to the ocean, the water in the bottom of this.
Yeah, most of it's salt.
But it's any water that collects does percolate through, and that's what caused this hole, is dissolved the limestone dome that was there, and it eventually collapsed in. But there were no ponds or lakes or anything like that. There was an artist that we stopped at her house to see her stuff, and she has to use a cistern for her fresh water. That's how they get it. It comes off the roof. And there are no wells.
And some people buy it. They buy it from Providencialis. They have to buy it, and it's brought in, and the cisterns are put in. So it's like fuel oil or something.
Yeah, I was going to ask about concrete. I mean, obviously they have things made of concrete.
Right.
I wondered if they actually made it there, or
I didn't
think
see
they'd
it
have
in the
to.
street, but maybe out by the
Just see a
docks.
concrete truck.
The other one was concrete.
Like ready mix or something? Yeah, he was
So you
driving in
did-
front of us, so.
We might chip it in though. to be honest.
You were drinking beer, Turks beer, so they have,
There's only 23,000
beer-
people on this island.
a beer factory or something on the island, or
I
what?
wouldn't think so.
It might be
Where does it come from then?
Yeah.
Shipping it in.
Might have been Grain Turk, which is the capital. So they try to ship it in, because it was made there.
What's
Somewhere
rum?
Turks and Caicos. Turks Ale, it said right on it was made
Okay.
there.
All right.
But I don't know.
That hole in the rock here, that hole in the rock, if you were driving at night,
It's off the road.
oh, it's off, that's what
It's
I'm
off the
that, yeah,
road.
okay.
You have to, you can park in that area where I was and you walk,
Okay.
not very far, but it was there.
Now Stacy did more than I do because I wouldn't even get close to that hole.
Yeah, I'm the one that does that kind of stuff. I go right to the edge and I'm the crazy one in this family.
They make, cactus is used to make some fermented. I mean,
Oh, yeah, you can do that.
is it, well, there's tequila, that is cactus. Rum,
Yeah, they have rum everything down there.
Yeah.
This is the tidal flats,
sorry.
and it was on the road to the hole. And you could look out and see these tidal flats, and we have to be there at sunset. So we've got a lot of pictures of it, but that's one
No,
side.
that's favorite.
So while we were at the tidal flats, when we were getting photos of the sunset, a guy that lived there come walk along with his dogs, and Stacy's a friend to every dog. So the dogs she was petting them, and we were talking to him, and he saw we were taking photographs of the sunset over the tidal flats and said we had to go to Mountain Beach and the Northwest Point for an unobstructed view if we wanted an absolutely gorgeous sunset. Well, this is where we had been the day before. We had been warned. We knew that people had been kind of set up by somebody else. You have to park someplace and really walk through a secluded area to get to the beaches there. And we've been warned not to carry cameras, things like that, don't leave anything behind. So we were kind of concerned how we were going to get there to get photographs, and we had turned around being a little leery of what we'd been told. Even while people were out swimming, they came and stole everything off the beach, including her prescription eyeglasses and stuff. I mean, they just take anything. So we were a little leery, but we talked ourselves into it and said, okay, we're only going to be here once probably. And so let's go see. It was broad daylight on a Sunday afternoon. So the school kids weren't in and different things. So there's the road ending. A couple of those cars had been parked there 2 or 3 times.
Right, they were there. The first time we went by, we noticed the car on the right. And I think the first day we passed, maybe there was only one vehicle. This time there happened to be 2, but we'd seen them before and kind of kept going. But
And no people.
Right, this, I don't know, shrubs or whatever it is, this is where the folks who sort of land on that edge of country and try to kind of make their way through, that's where they live. Tents in and amongst that.
Yeah,
And
you'll
it's
see
not
them laying in there.
It's not flexible. I mean, you couldn't kind of shimmy your way through. You would just be cut. I mean, it's very harsh.
It's probably a traffic cop, right?
No, that was local vehicles, it looked like.
Local. So
That's how
we
you know.
decided to go out and venture out. And this is actually, this is again an improved road, and it's fairly decent, although it had its good share of holes. And so we would watch out for holes, and we're always on the lookout for wildlife of any kind, or birds. And we never saw any wildlife, but we did see some birds, and we got some photos. And we eventually made it back to Northwest Point, and this was our drive to the beach.
My God.
Narrow like that, whole
Pure
way.
sand.
So we started down and realized that, boy, this was really secluded. And Stacy and I happened to have our really good cameras with us that we really didn't want to lose. And
What is this, a mile or 2 down? I mean, we were on the improved road for at least a mile or 2,
At
then you
least.
get to this. So we weren't close to that main highway at this point.
yeah, so we're pretty far out. So anyhow, we get down, and as we start to turn, I think Stacy and I got a little anxious, and Ken says, I don't think we ought to do this let's turn around and go back. And so we have to back out. There's no place to turn around, so you back out. We went down to see if we could access it through the Northwest Point Resort. And as we got down the long lane to get to there, it was gated.
Right. And along, we stop and take a million pictures, of course. And so there was a bird or a flower or something. And so I had my window down. We're just shooting from the car. And there was a little footpath. And so I joked, oh, I wish I could just jump out there real quick and walk down the path. I mean, who knows what you might see. And of course I didn't do that, but then Dad said, hey Stacey, roll up your window, there's a man right there. And literally 2 feet inside the edge of this brush was a guy laying on the ground in shorts, a tent, food, cups, whatever, and scared. I mean, he was, I don't know.
Kind of startled her.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh. If I had gotten out, I would have died laughing, probably because I would have sprinted back to the car. But, so then we got in, so then we thought, oh, that's, amazing. I wonder who that is. And that someone's, trying to better their life and everything. And of course, I didn't take a picture with all the 4 cameras that I had at the time. But, so then we started making our way back, go to the resort, and realize, okay, there's,
It was gated, and we couldn't get access that way.
Right.
So you had to be staying there till I end. So as we were leaving, we stopped another car, looked like American or whatever, and told them, be cautious if you're going down there. We'd seen these homeless encampments and to be careful. So as we get to the end and we go to turn out, we see this car come towards us, and you can tell the difference between your rental cars, local cars. Cars are beat up. They even tell you when you rent, we don't worry about scratches and dings and all that. If you break a window or something, then we might say something or something like that. So the cars are beat up. It's just the way they are. And this one went by, and it was obviously a local. He looked like somebody, just him in his car. We didn't think much of it, so we pulled out, and he went on by.
Well, and I had made the joke to Dad. I said, wouldn't it be funny if that guy back there had been the lookout? Because we had read on TripAdvisor that if you go down on the sand road, park your car, they're going to get in your car, take whatever you leave in there. Of course, we didn't do that, but I thought, wouldn't that be funny if that was sort of the racket? That guy calls his buddy, hey, we have somebody, we've got tourists. And we joked about it. Here comes this car, but Dad's like, it's just one guy. We're not worried about one guy, And so we keep going down the road, and I'm looking back, and I said, he's got his brake lights on, and he's stopping. And Dad's like, he might be picking up a worker friend from that resort. Probably no big deal. So then we look back, and they've stopped, turned around, trunks open, there's 2 guys, cars, and we said, okay, now what does this mean? And Dad's like, all right, we'll roll your windows up, we're just going to go ahead and get out, no reason to kind of stay around and look for any trouble, but we'll just keep it moving. So we did, and then next thing you know, he came flying up behind us, dust going everywhere, and Dad's like, hold on or whatever, and there's huge potholes, and Dad just flew. I don't know how fast you were going, but we were just skimming right over the top. We were going that fast, and he was like gaining on us, and you did there's like a snake turn. There's like a big left into a right, and then back, and then a straight again. And when he came out, Dad was going so fast through there, but when he came out, he slid way to the right, like barely held it on without going into the brush. He was trying to catch up so fast. And then we just got back to the main road before he ever got anywhere near us.
And when we got back to the main road, where those vehicles had been, where there'd been 1 or 2, there were now 2 other ones in the road, had the road blocked. They were like this, like the truck acting like there was a problem, so that we couldn't access the main road.
And a bunch of people standing around.
And the men standing around, and this car is gaining on us. Well, there's only one way. We either take the other improved road and head to another secluded, or we turn and we can go towards the conch shack. And Ken basically, in the meantime, Stacy and I are preparing for robbery.
Yeah. They can have any of my stuff. But I just want my camera chips.
I had put all my money in my bra. We had taken. We didn't wear any jewelry. We didn't take anything expensive with us. So we had nothing like that on. But Stacy was worried. She said, "Okay, they can have my camera, but they're not getting the chip." So she had taken the chips and she had hidden them in various places in the back seat of the car behind, hoping that they would just be interested in the camera and not what's on the chip. And I'm trying to think, okay, where can I have my cell phone? So we were kind of in a little bit of a, what, and then we came out.
Well, Dad was having fun, just so you know. So
Yeah, he was
is
enjoying
driving
himself.
with the rear view mirror, looking at it with the smirk on his face. He was all of a sudden 18 again and just driving fast out in the country. I mean, he was having a blast. So I was conflicted. Here's the guy coming fast behind us. I'm not going to do anything to stop him if he wants to take something from me. Dad's half laughing, looking in the window. Mom's just kind of silent, just kind of sitting there. And I'm like, wait, he thinks it's fun. I am getting ready to give some random stranger all my cameras and my phones and everything else. What is going on? And so then we got out and Dad cut
We just
quickly to
kept
make the
going very
left.
fast and turn because we had felt that was a setup. Now we had been told that they probably weren't interested in harming us.
Yeah, they weren't
interested in any of those kinds of things. They simply wanted whatever we had that was of value
Needed money.
that they could sell. And so I wasn't really scared for my life, but it was just very, unnerving.
I told Dad that because of the way it worked out, it was absolutely so much fun. Had it not worked out so well, I probably wouldn't have thought it was fun afterwards, but it was kind of fun to do. But
Our heart was racing, and we
It was
ended up
good.
going back to the conch shack and being where there was civilization, because being Sunday there was no one around, and we didn't, think of that when we made our choice to go there. So obviously we didn't go back, so we didn't go see that gorgeous sunset. But
The road that you took to the conch shack, did it continue on another way?
yes, it
You didn't have to
eventually
go
gets back
back.
to, no, it eventually, yes, it was just a side that, comes out at Leeward Highway, which is the main road.
So this is Pot Cake Place. So it's an all-volunteer canine rescue on the island. Pot cakes are what they call the local homeless dogs. They actually use the same terminology in the Bahamas. But Pot Cake Place, you can actually go there while you're on vacation, fill out a form, take a puppy to the beach for half a day, just give it some exercise, socialization, and that's free to do. And they have a little store there, you can purchase things, but actually as residents of the U.S. or Canada, or of course the islands, you can adopt a puppy that's full, all the vaccinations are complete and you get complete vet records, but you can actually do that. So it's a
And
nice
there's
rescue on the island.
dog, that's the only real wildlife that we saw on there was goats and dogs are everywhere.
We saw this guy buzzing around in that black body, and they moved really quickly. I mean, they really zip around, and it didn't seem to land on flowers or anything. So I assumed that it was a wasp or a hornet or something. I finally found a dead one, and I got a good look at it, and then looked it up. It turns out it's a butterfly.
Butterfly.
It's as bright red as you can imagine.
Short-sighted goat.
Yeah.
Looks like a glorified vegetable.
Yeah.
And on Grace Bay, on Grace Bay Road, there's the Seven Stars, which is similar to a beaches, and it's where all really, really rich people stay there. They came out in fur coats and everything's walking down, but that was our big center. That was one of our roundabouts, but all the roundabouts mostly were decorated for Christmas. This is the only one that had a huge tree. You can see there Christmas lights and candy canes around the palm tree. It's thinking funny. The restaurants, that was Las Brisas on Chalk Sound. It was just gorgeous. And they have the blow-up Christmas. And there's Ken, excited to he was going to try to climb.
Well, I told him, we were telling him, it's almost time to go, and his response was to go and grab the palm tree.
No, I don't
He
wanna
wasn't
go.
going to leave. Yep.
That's Bite Reef, Bite Park, so that's where the Junkanoo band was. That's kind of, we ate like one of those shelters. We took our food and went back at nighttime. And there's leaving. I got these photos, or Stacy did, one of us.
This is the Turtle Cove area down,
There's
it
the
would be
reef.
west of where we stayed, about maybe a mile.
Yeah.
And then this is a little bit north of, or east of where we stayed, so back in here is where we stayed. But there's the reef out there, and you can see it's just sand bottom, some reef area here, and
This is
Let's
grass and
read.
and rock combination.
That was before they really yelled at me to put down my digital. Tried to snap those. And that's sunset coming home. When we came home on the plane. And that's the Three Amigos.
That's it.
Stay there.
You all are really,
So 3,000, that's our photos. That's what we brought with us, so.